and share views on why some are stating that maybe, just maybe, we need a fresh perspective to the way we talk about discipline in our schools, particularly secondary schools at the moment. The big question for us this morning, have secondary schools lost control? Is the discipline pattern changed? Can they effectively manage their students in 2021? Carl, it's a good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning to you, Jude.
Yes,
we're
used to working in the evenings. I get that a lot. I get that a lot. All right, so straight into the deep end of this conversation. Sam talked about the legalities of the actions with his guest earlier on. Now we are going to be focusing on the genesis, actually. What exactly have schools turned into, secondary schools, and maybe we'll be particularizing to the government schools, to the public schools in the past few years, maybe a decade or two. Now, you've heard the story, we've played the excerpts, and and all those things that have come in between. But let's start off. Is this a one-off, or have there been scenarios like this in River State in the past 2, 3, 5 years?
Well, a situation where you say perhaps a school or a principal has brought in the military or perhaps the army or soldiers to actually, help enforce discipline. And of recent, I don't know if that's happened of recent. But you talk about the genesis. Back in the day, we had more schools that were missionary before perhaps they became government schools. Now, back in the day, you will have even your parents tell you, I will report you to Mrs. your teacher there, or perhaps,
I'll report you to uncle, so and so.
I'll report you to sir, that kind of a thing. They'll tell you that, and you will beg, you will weep. The school was seen as a place where discipline was enforced, a place where the child indeed knows that I cannot, mess around. I've got to do what is right. If I get to school and it's told, my niece is told, or my auntie or my uncle, basically,
or even a senior back then,
is told what I've done, I will be in for it. That's the way it was. Actually did part of my secondary school in the north. In schools then, we had a sergeant. Now, I begin to think of it. I don't know if the person was really from the military, but they were called sergeants. And do you know what their duty was? Their duty was to flog. Yes. Corporal punishment. So some teachers then in school would tell you, okay, come you did so come and take. I'm giving you 2 strokes of the cane. I'm giving you 3 strokes of the cane. But some couldn't be bothered with that. And if perhaps maybe 5, 6, 7 people in class were perhaps out of line and they needed to be flogged, that perhaps may be tiring for the teacher. He would now say, class captain, go and fetch me the sergeant. And you will see everyone begging, auntie please, uncle please, please, I won't do it again. Because the sergeant was skilled in flogging. Now we had that done. And let me tell you the truth. Because perhaps maybe we knew we're out of line. It was just flogging, maybe nothing more, not rolling the dirt or not roll, roll in the mud. I will not go home and go and report to my parents. I will be ashamed to go report to my parents though. That, you know why? They did not flog me not just for any reason. I was flogged because I did something wrong, right? So I won't go home and go report. So the school then was seen to, instill discipline. Children, I won't say feared, but, there was that respect. I need to behave when I'm in school.
Yes. So a lot of students will probably, maybe young people that will probably, be errant or deviant whilst at home. But coming to school, there's going to be a bit of a change. I need to have a modicum of decency.
If not.
Yeah.
And, sometimes then, some people were even sent to boarding school so that they could get disciplined.
Yes. A lot of particularly male children will be sent to, when they say you're too stubborn, I'm going to send you to the boarding house. And I remember having neighbors who would make that threat to their sons or to their children, and they would beg. Because they probably heard stories from me who was in a boarding house, and I'll tell them, we did this, we have not done this, I don't know what food is, I come back looking like a broomstick and like, no, mommy, don't send me to that kind of Jude school, I don't want, and they change.
Yes, because they knew that if they get there, they are going to be really disciplined. So you see, what the school was somewhere we knew that you go there, and if you are not, if you're bent, you'll be straightened out, you'll be corrected. That's what it was. But seemingly, that's no longer the case. Here's the situation where
in our public schools now,
most especially in public schools now, it seems there's no control, there's no discipline. Now, we've had the opportunity to interact with some of the teachers who are at that school, and do you know how happy they were with what happened yesterday? Now, they say, yes, good for the boys. Yes, good for this one. Those boys are a law unto themselves. They are this, they are that, they are that. Now, I get where they are coming from. I cannot do anything, so I'm happy they've brought somebody that can deal with them, you see. But that's itself, it's a big problem of its own. It should be the problem we should all be focusing on. The fact that the schools no longer have control. The schools is no longer that revered citadel or that place where a child knows that as I'm going, man, I need to behave myself. But this time around, a student is going and is willing to challenge a teacher. Yes, they will say cultism. Yes, they will say perhaps the influence of drugs. But where did it get there? So you see, some will say multifaceted, but basically it all comes down to society. It all comes down to the society we live in at the moment. The fact that, yes, things are not working. The fact that, yes, parents these days are hustling. Parents no longer have the time to discipline their children or to raise their children right.
But Carl, I'm sorry, but 10, 20, even 25 years ago, this similar argument was being mentioned. In fact, that was the genesis. I remember as a young person, I was interviewed and someone asked me, what does your father do? This is it. What does your mama do? She is in the shop. She's in the shop sometimes from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m.
So there's no time to...
So there was no, I won't say there was no time, but they would come back home. My mother would find the time. Let's see your homework. My father would ask the same question. What happened in school? They'll go up to school. Oh, Mr. What happened to my son? Can I have a general report? So parents have been for the past 25 years
busy.
They're very busy. And in all fairness, I can't say that the children back then or we back then were much better than this because I too in Benin I experienced a riot that it was the military that had to come quell it. I was just telling my friends, my colleagues outside, back in Benin. I had to hide under a trailer to save my skin because the school that was being, disciplined, or the soldiers were trying to discipline, wore the same uniform as I did, green.
So you could be mistaken.
Yes, I could have been. And if you've never seen pictures of Jude back in secondary school, I look like a broomstick. Any little breeze would have taken me away. So I was very scared. So now, I understand why, some people share sentiments that, okay, maybe the soldiers come. But even then, I knew back then that something was fundamentally wrong to actually get military officers to come and discipline students.
Totally wrong. Like if you heard Barrister Henry Ekide, he spoke earlier on, even if perhaps I'd not listened to him, there's no place for inviting. Now, okay, there might have been a place, like he stated quite clearly. If we had something happening at that point in time, things were getting out of hand at that point in time, you could definitely reach out to if perhaps there's a military post nearby or perhaps there are some soldier stations somewhere. Please come help us save the situation. But that aside, it's a civil matter. This was premeditated. This is after the date happened. The next day, the principal goes to fetch the army or fetch those soldiers. Some soldiers, So this is where it was totally wrong. All that had to be done was that, man, if it was a police matter, I hear the teachers were not happy. So that's why some of the teachers are happy with the army coming in, or the soldiers coming in, rather. Yeah, because they felt nothing was done, or the student should have been arrested after the incident. I've seen pictures of the teachers, by the way. I hope you've seen them, where he was gashed. He was head-butted by the student, and there's a gash on his head, before they rushed him. So I heard there was blood. So the teachers also felt this student should have been arrested then, but we hear they sent for his parents, and that's another conversation also too. The talk is that perhaps it's suspended for a while, then maybe comes back to write his SSCE.
From a lot of older generation, that's grounds for immediate expulsion.
Immediate expulsion. There's no room for you to come back, and it's also how we'll come back to where we were, how the schools perhaps may have lost control. You need to set the precedence, so you let people know that it doesn't matter, because here's the way it comes in here. I'm sure you hear some people who will be talking, say, hey, yeah, so you mean they just experiment like that, so after all the how many years, he will not get to write the SS. No, yes, that's the punishment. This is not just to fighting per se.
Yeah.
This is attacking a teacher who's bled. There's no room for this. It should be outright expulsion. So if he likes, perhaps he could go enroll in another school and perhaps do another one extra year again, then get to write perhaps that final year exam. But there should be no pity here. But I'll just quickly tell you a story. I worked in a government institution where somebody did some wrong and actually cost the company some money, maybe about 700, 800,000 naira. And perhaps the man who was in charge was very angry and wanted to have that person suspended or even fired. People came, start begging, and they said, you know, he has a family, he has children, he has this, he has that. They now leave him. Now, the chief of those who was amongst those who begged for him, next, there was a job route that came up that was around 1 million, a higher sum, though. And that same person ruined everything and they all lost money. The chief of those who was begging the first time was the person who was responsible now for this deal. And the person was so angry. Let us fire him. And the big boss now said, have you forgotten he has a family? Have you forgotten he has children? You see, we usually play these sentiments into things. And like I say, it's a societal problem. Are we considering it? I don't know perhaps if they have what's written in the school books, but I would have thought this is a perfect ground. Such a child, such a student should be expelled because this one has gone beyond the norm.
Yes.
This is, like I said, it's not just that maybe he stole someone's lunch. It's not just that maybe he had a fight. There was a bully, or he fought with perhaps a student, you know, a fellow student and all. No, this one was basically attacking the teacher. And all for what? A bracelet says it belongs to his church. Is it part of the school uniform? Is it part of the dress code for the school? No, it's not. But that's another societal problem. People will wear these bracelets because it was blessed by daddy. The church has said so. It's another conversation, I know, but it's not part of the school uniform.
Like I said, like you said, it's a totally different conversation. And, you know, one would also ask the question, you know, are such pronouncement, you know, as it were, infringing on the person's right of expression and things like that. But
it's not infringing. That's, like I say, it's not the dress code. The school has a dress code.
But more importantly, Carl, it is the reaction for us on this conversation. It's the level of discipline, the attitude of the students to discipline. There should be, and maybe this is where this conversation will probably be hinged upon. There should be a proper channel to express your displeasure. Back in secondary school, we had channels. If I didn't like what somebody said, you know, it was not unusual to go report.
And that's your form master.
To my form master, or maybe to another teacher. Look, I don't like what Auntie D did to me. It's not fair. And they're okay, let's go review it. And then they bring me over and say, look.
Sometimes there are panels.
Yeah, there are panels. They bring you over and say, look, what you did was wrong. Could the teacher have done it maybe better? Yes. But however, you were at fault. And it may sound strange to some of you listening, but in the secondary school I grew up in, it was not unusual to hear a teacher say, I am sorry for this thing. Yes. I shouldn't have done this, right? I'm sorry. Yes, you're Nigerian mentality, but he shouldn't have done that. But the teacher would say, I am sorry. The senior teacher says, okay, no, from now on, this is what's going to happen. We'll correct this mistake. It shouldn't happen again. End of story. But we now see a situation where this young person or persons decide to, as it were, become their own personal vendettas, their own vigilantes, and say, no, we don't like this. You could, and the argument was, I heard the discussions yesterday on Dial's show and also on social media, you could say it's probably a plus to our young people who are similarly rising up to know what their rights are. Yes, violence, it's a
There's a difference between knowing your rights and, you know, basically engaging in gangsterism or perhaps cult-related activity. There's a difference.
One thing is to know your rights. Another thing is the way and manner you go about trying to, as it were, enforce that right or express that right. There are signs and lessons that we should be taught here. Carl, you're a busy person. We have to say a pause here. We have to go for a commercial. When we come back, we're going to open the phone lines and get to you. So, what exactly is the state of our situation here in River State? Have secondary schools lost control of the students? Can we enforce discipline anymore? And then the students themselves, where exactly is this attitude towards discipline? Like I started out this morning, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments. Do these students, young people, the future of Nigeria, the future of River State, do they know that?
The European European club football season is over, but football never sleeps. Enter the UEFA European Football Championship. The pandemic could only delay, but never deny the fans the excitement they crave as the Euros take center stage. It's Euro 2020 in 2021, with scenes all over the European continent, traversing state lines and capitals, from Rome to Baku, St. Petersburg, Amsterdam, Bucharest, Glasgow, Copenhagen, Seville, Munich, and London. The coverage is global, and the cast nationwide, covering every blade of grass on Nigeria's #1 radio station for sports and talk, Nigeria Info. Reach out for sponsorship and advertising. Euro 2020 with Femi and the gang on Nigeria Info. Live football, just the way you like it. The European club football season is over, but football never sleeps. Enter the UEFA European Football Championship. The pandemic could only delay, but never deny the fans the excitement they crave as the Euros take center stage. It's Euro 20.
Connect with your customers. Advertise on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Visit our downtown office at Shop 9, Mediatrix of All Gracies Plaza, opposite FIRS, Stadium Road, Port Harcourt, and book your commercials. Call 0817 001 8162. That is 0817 001 8162. And let us connect you to your customers. Connect with your customers. Advertise on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Visit our downtown office at Shop 9, Mediatrix of All Gracies Plaza, opposite FIRS, Stadium Road, Port Harcourt, and book your commercials. Call 0817 001 8162. That is 0817 001 8162. And let us connect you to your customers. Connect with your customers. Advertise on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
The European club football season is over, but football never sleeps. Enter the UEFA European Football Championship. The pandemic could only delay, but never deny the fans the excitement they crave as the Euros take center stage. It's Euro 2020 in 2021, with scenes all over the European continent.
This is that they violate our human rights now. Certainly they do. Certainly they do. And then they violate our human rights. Now, this is not okay. This is not okay. This is not okay. Me, person like my people listen to human rights. Who be students? They're not supposed to treat us like so big cow. They're not supposed to treat us like this.
Real stories, real people. Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
017-923-0002, 017-923-0003, 08179230007, and then the female caller line is 0817-923-0009. Welcome back. Hello, Port Harcourt. So we have a question for us this morning following the very disturbing scenarios that we got to hear reported at our studios yesterday, and we had Sam talk about it. So my question on this issue about military officers or soldiers coming in to, as it were, enforce discipline is this. Do we have control in our secondary schools, particularly the public sector? Have they lost control? Have they lost the ability to discipline students? It's been a fear for a while here in River State. We've heard of, in quote groups in several secondary schools, particularly the public schools in River State. And then also the attitude of the young people and persons to discipline. When you call in, please remember, we're going to give you just about a minute. Get straight to the point. Hello, 923. Good morning.
Okay, hello, good morning, Jude.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Carl.
Good morning.
I want to remain anonymous. I'm a secondary school teacher, and the issue on ground is very, very serious. Serious because the schools in River State, some of the schools, I don't want to use generalize, some of the schools have a serious problem. there's cultism, and some of the schools have the problem with fence. There are no fences, in the sense that a student can come into school whenever he likes and leave school whenever he or she likes. If you want to chase such a student, you don't know where they are running to. You don't know whether there are a group of boys waiting for you. In fact, it can be a trap, so to speak. So it's not as if, I won't say that all schools have lost control of their students in terms of being able to discipline them, but some schools have lost that control. Most schools that are porous in terms of no fence, they've lost that control. Schools that have excess cultism, and you don't expel students when you catch them doing wrong things, or when you catch them engaging in certain kinds of activities, it causes this kind of problem. We know that there's a societal factor. Most people who are engaged in cult activities, they lack respect for authority, respect for people who are in positions of authority. And so you have a situation whereby teachers, they are rebellious to teachers. We also have the problem of more female teachers and less male teachers. The truth about the matter is, if you check most schools, government schools in River State, the population is distributed in such a way that we have more female teachers and less male teachers. Proper orientation on the part of teachers and students. For instance, I don't.
I'm sorry. We have to let you go, sir, because there are other callers. But thank you. You raised very interesting points here on the subject matter. Whilst we're having a conversation, I was it actually did cross my mind about the ratio of male to female teachers. I visited a few. Let's get Peter and Transamadi, and we'll come to Carl. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Jude.
Good morning. Welcome.
Okay. Yeah. You see, this issue is really, really delicate. Now, I must say that most kids today, both in the private and in public schools, are very, very unruly now.
Okay.
And whether we like it or not, we have cultism at its peak, even in the secondary schools. Let me give you a quick example. When my wife was doing NYSC, she taught at one of the public schools in OGRA. Do you know, even when she got there, the first orientation she got from the principal and teachers was, don't try to discipline them. Many of them are cultists. You can imagine that. So, just like that now, even the schools don't have control anymore on the children. And basically, it's a fundamental family problem. Because most of these children lack proper care and attention.
Okay.
So we really need to go back to the drawing board and talk to ourselves as parents.
Okay.
How are we taking care of our children?
All right. Thank you very much, Peter from Transamadi. Anthony was on the line. We'll get to you. Good luck in Omuma. Good morning.
Yes, Uncle Jude, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome, please.
Yes, considering the incident that happened between the student and the professor of the school, first and foremost, when we talk about discipline, we talk about physical character of students. Yes. So, if the students are not disciplined, it means that the student has failed at the head of the rules and regulations governing the school. So, what the principal did is right. So that it will serve as a deterrent to other students. Because nowadays, the students have decided not to obey the rules and regulations. But where we advise the principal, in case of next time, it's not the duty of the military to arrest the student. It's the duty of the police to arrest the student, so that the student will face the punishment, and that will serve as a deterrent to other students in that particular school.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Good luck. Anthony Nomoku, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Anthony. Good morning.
You see, the problem with what you are discussing has been caused by the society, most especially the parents of students. Well, they can't discipline their children at home, and when they get to school, when teachers want to discipline them, they go at the extra length of bringing even policemen, bringing people to come and deal with teachers. With that kind of situation, how do you think teachers can discipline students?
But Anthony, Carl said growing up, it was the reverse. If a child was unruly at home, it was expected when the child gets to school, he or she was going to get some form of discipline. That's where a lot of people grew up. In fact, parents...
Yeah, that's what the kind of system I grew up with. That's what kind of system your teacher, whenever your teacher gets to the house, you know that there's a problem. But today, the reverse is the case. When they go to school, teachers like they come to that, they tell the parents will go and shout at the teachers and even do whatever they want to do with teachers.
Okay.
What do you expect? So,
all right, Anthony, thank you. We'll get to Christian in Bonny Island very quickly. But Carl, this issue of having the sexes not evenly distributed amongst the workforce for the secondary schools, is that really a problem? That there are more female teachers, and I visited the one at the one close, one of the what's it called, after Rumuapara going along Equerry Road. There's a police station close to the secondary school there. I've been to that place.
As the Rumuapara girls?
Not Rumuapara girls. After going further down where they sell parts, I'm trying to remember the name of that village now. But anyway, I think Wickets Village, that's what they call that place. There's a secondary school there. There were more female teachers. In fact, there was only one male teacher in school that day.
Jude, for that one, I don't know how I'm going to explain. Sometimes I'll say perhaps is it nature? I don't know how, or if perhaps the schools boards do not consider. Apparently, we've got more women, we've got more female teachers than male. It's not an official statistics, but just like you say, we notice that we've got that, and some believe perhaps maybe that becomes a problem because some of the young boys who are growing, who are getting to that suppose that masculinity, trying to express testosterone, you know, coming, may not sometimes want to be to a female teacher. We get that, but also I think it was Anthony who mentioned that yes, we can also blame parents too. Yes, we have seen situations where parents will come to school, attack a teacher, even attack the school for disciplining their child. Now, let me quickly say this. I'm not saying your child should come home with one eye closed or physical harm, or physical gashes on his body. I will lose it if my child comes back in that way. But my child comes home and tells me, mommy or daddy, they flogged me.
I was punished.
I'll ask you, what did you do? Then I'll flog you also. Do you get it? So I know perhaps we're a bit different. I'm still going to employ my own discipline. Why did you do so? And why did you let them discipline? But the reverse, nowadays we get a situation where parents attack teachers and attack schools for disciplining their kids.
Christian on Bonny Island. Good morning, Christian.
Yeah, good morning, Port Harcourt.
Well, hello, Port Harcourt. Welcome, please.
Yes, you see, this issue is a very, very important issue in the life of this nation, particularly in River State here. You know, as you were talking, you know, I could go back to memory lane, back in my school in Lagos. Yes, we had them. That was, I finished 82, 83 in Lagos. Yes, we know few of them, very few. If I can remember, we don't have more than about 8 or 10 of them that are wayward. They smoke weed and so on, and they disturb the teachers. They even threaten teachers, but it was not as worse as it is today. Just sometime last year, I was in one of the schools in Bonny here, and I went to the back because I like to see some of the development, particularly this prototype secondary school Amechi launch in all the local governments. So I was monitoring the data of Bonny, and I could see some boys there who were smoking weed at the back of the compound there, inside the school there. And I was inspecting each of the students as they passed me. I look at them from head to toe, try to weigh them and look at what is going on today. I think, to be candid, before you appoint a principal to any school these days, you must look for credible principals.
Okay, so we need to look for credible individuals to man the position.
I'm wondering if you're saying it's the principal's fault, though. But you know, what we are wondering also too is that the feeling of control. How desperate did the principal get?
Yes.
How desperate does the school get that they have to call in soldiers? The teacher who called in then said, because sometimes they don't even expel people who needs to be expelled. Those are the precedents you should set. You see someone perhaps involved in cult activities, expel him immediately. There's no begging or going around it. Someone is smoking weed in school, Well, if it's a suspension for a while, or so perhaps the person turns a new leaf, you know what you do about it. So I wonder also, perhaps we'll also get the schools board involved in this later on. What's the protocol? What's the discipline or directive concerning discipline? For a teacher to get so desperate.
On Facebook, we have so many messages. Monsi Adure says, I've worked in a school, and if a teacher flogs a student, they want to tell their parents, and the parents will come to make to school to make trouble. So it makes the teachers never to punish them. In this case, the principal must have gotten tired, and for the fear of his life or her life, he thought, or she thought, that it was the best option so that they can put fear into the student. But should we be talking about putting fear? The notion is, it's a very fine line, Carl, to deter and discipline. But if there's anything I know about fear, fear can only work for so long a time. And so at some point in time, the individual will say, look, hey, what else is there?
It's to be like a good push to the wall. Yeah. It will bounce back and bite. Yeah. Fear is not the best tool to actually get anything. If you want something rightly done, fear shouldn't be what it is. But it's a source of concern. How did the principal or how did this school get so desperate? Are other schools having this problem? Do they have a control over discipline? Say no fence in the school, so you cannot tell when people come in or go out. You cannot tell if perhaps they go invite colleagues or gang members from elsewhere. You cannot tell. So this is indeed the problem.
MD in Ozoba. Good morning, MD.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Jude.
Yes, please.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Welcome, please. Carl is here.
Jude, discipline is good. Go to body camp and see how soldiers discipline the student. You will know a student will always come to school late, and most of them, do you know that they are courteous? From JS 2, JS 1, even the girls' school, most of them are courteous. Would you remember there was a time they reported a secondary school in D-Line? The boy took his father's pistol to school to threaten a student. What would the teacher said about this? So me, I'm not against them disciplining them, because most of them are rude, and teachers cannot even, their parents too cannot even discipline them.
But these children, thank you very much, MD. These children did not come from space. They were given birth to by parents. So
it says their parents cannot even discipline them. But see, when people, they excuse, like I spoke to some of the teachers at Rumuapara, and they also came up with this, man, some of them are cultists, this. Yeah. How do you let cultism take root? Now, this is where they are to blame. If we have inklings that so and so, Carl Orakwue is a cultist, you better let him go from that school. You know why? It will spread like a cancer. So you see, they have not done what needs to be done, and now everyone is shouting. Should have done it from the onset.
Match by 3. Hello, Port Harcourt. Good morning.
Good morning, Jude. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome, please.
My name is Orakwue.
Welcome.
I want to contribute to the issue on ground now.
Yes, please.
First, parents, mothers are the first teacher to every child, because after delivery, she's the first they will show to. Madam, what do you give birth to, a boy or a girl? The woman will identify the sex she gave birth to. Second, if you can spell your name, thank your teacher. The young boy who was talking that he wants to, his fundamental human rights has been breached. Can you listen to his grammar? Means the school itself has failed. Whoever that was teaching him from primary 1 to SS3 now is about to write to WAEC, giving us that kind of grammar. And again, this issue of students behaving like this. Let me give you one story that happened in my house yesterday, please. Yesterday, I was in the house getting set my children to go to school. My last child is in primary 5. The second one is in SS1. Then I called her name. She was not responding. I asked the younger sister to go and look for her. She came back and said, Daddy is calling her. So when she came to the kitchen to carry her lunch box, I asked her, what did you do? They now said, somebody, yes, my house is very close to their school. You can see how these children that we all give birth to put parents into trouble. This boy was dropped by his parents at the school gate. He came to school with anything contraband means is something that is not allowed to the school. Why would this other student wear wristband, band to school? And that's the origin of this present problem. Now this boy that came to my house, came with a waterproof bag to give to this my SS1 child a contraband, something that is not allowed by the private school, to put in the younger sister's school bag, that they don't search primary, they search secondary. And I said, what is the content? When I looked at it, I said, where is the boy? He said that daddy has called them, they've gone. Immediately I wore my dress. I said, come on, let's move to the school. I will go to the school. I met the school proprietor. I said, I asked her, come on, identify those students that came to the house. And they did. And now, please, explain to your school what you came to my house to do. Do you live around my area? The answer is no. And it was then I got information that their parents brought them and dropped them at the school gate. Now saying that they are searching them, they now moved to my house to drop that thing with their classmates, who is my daughter, to put in a younger sister bag so that the younger sister will carry it to the school. That the school does not search primary. And when I raised that alarm, from now the school is now beginning to search primary. I said,
parents need to pay more attention. Parents need to pay more attention to what's happening with the children. Parents need to pay attention. So like I said, we get busier, we get carried away. The country, society gets more difficult, but we need to pay more attention. If not, plenty of damage will be done.
Yeah, but that's a very clear example of what we made mention of. Like I said, back in my secondary school, if something was in effect, someone would notice. It has to be dealt with, and then a precedent will be set. Like the caller made mention that at some point in time, cultists came in. There was a time in my school that was a fear as well, where we had SS3 boys and senior secondary school students who seemed to be way above the law. And then at some point in time, they said, hey, look, we can have this. The entire set, there was a year and an entire
You clean
set.
out.
Yes, they were sent home.
You clean out.
They sent all of them home.
It's something, yes, I know most of the public schools these days, they have that problem, and you see everyone is now afraid. But here's what your problem is. The problem is that you didn't act early enough. You didn't act. So now what will they do? This is another opportunity to act. Do you expel the young man in question, or do you say, okay, don't worry, you can come back later?
Okay. Well, Chris is in Rumuapara. Good morning, Chris. Apologies there. All right, let's get to read messages now. 009-030-6416. In my own submission, parents have failed this generation. It's totally the fault of the parents. Also, male teachers dragging female students as girlfriends, and male students has made teachers lose their respect. It's silly, but there's some point here. Unworkable says, Kalanju, it's obvious these students who cannot speak good English are cultists from their slangs. Nothing portrays them as serious students. If you follow up with what happens in public schools, you will weep. Imagine students warning a core member that he should desist from extra classes he fixed for them and should not be too serious with his teaching as they are not interested. In public schools, seriousness in academics is seriously discouraged. So there's a big problem with that sector, the public schools. We know it's been on the agenda for a few years now. Funding, not great there. Teachers have also been finger pointed from public schools.
Not at being in classes when they're supposed to be.
Extorting money. Then when exams come, they make the students all donate money for exam malpractice. So there's been a precedent set in these schools. And like you said, maybe they've not been acting properly. Now it's gotten to the point of their own personal security.
They will need to act. We need to get to the schools board. They need to act. Fencing is paramount. It's important these days. If perhaps it was not important back in the day, now it's important. So you're able to regulate who comes in and out. We need to know if perhaps you're late or you're not late, or perhaps you come to school and we supposedly see you in school, but you jump out and go do something else later on. We need to have regulation. They need to provide for schools. Desk tables, not readily available. We've already done reports concerning stuff like that.
Yes.
See, they need to act, because if you do not, here we're talking about insecurity in the country now, but basically we are breeding
a new set
of people who perhaps may be uncontrollable. It's a shame.
All right, Clement is on NTA Road. Good morning, Clement. Reginald, we'll get to you in a minute. Clement, you have a minute, please. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Let me just choke mouth in your discussion. Okay, Carl said that parents should fix up. Well, I wonder where these parents are that will fix up. For me, I won't blame the school. Now, I believe the schools have done their best. You see, this is where the argument for boarding school and for day school comes in. Now, the day school, after the teachers or the school authorities have done what they do, when they send these children back to the society. That even on the road, these children, as they are going home, they saw all manner of things. You know, it took seconds to wipe out whatever they have learned in school while they're on their way home. Now, even at home, they've got to rejoin the society where you see the older cultists or the older ones that are misbehaving, the admirals on the streets and the ones in the neighborhood that are misbehaving, are inculcating some kind of attitude or discipline in the heart of these secondary school students. So what do you expect? That you are bringing students in the school and then you are taking them back to the society?
All right, thank you very much, Clement. Reginald from Chokocho. Good morning, Reginald.
Yes, Reginald from Chokocho.
Good morning. Welcome,
yes.
please.
Let me join the discussion. Yes. I will particularly say that what is happening within our school system, I think I will blame 4 different sets of people for it. One, the government, the community, the school authority, and the parents. One, the school authority and the parents are not actively involved in the moral upbringing aspect of the school children, which is key to the education sector. Starting from the foundation, being the primary stage. 2, the government is not actively involved in putting eye in what is happening in the school. The community, the same thing. Let me give you 2 instances now. I was a security guard at Model Primary School, Chokocho, during former government.
Virgil, please be quick. What's on the line, please?
And then incidentally, I was the supervisor in charge of the school then. 2 instances. One, I have caught 2 children making love in the school. 2 little children making love in the school. I caught them red-handed. And what to do, I told the head them, look at what I saw. We decided to invite the parents of the school, the parents of the children, invite the school authority, and then at the end of the day, the school take decisive action by making sure that they don't attend the school anymore. They can go to anywhere.
Okay, so they were expelled. Like Carl said, that's decisive action. Okay, our final caller, Kanu in Rupaku. Good morning, Kanu.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, welcome.
Good morning, Jude.
Good morning, welcome, please.
Yes, this is Chief Crown calling from Rupaku.
All right, go on. We have just about a minute.
Yes, concerning this indiscipline in our secondary schools is becoming a thing of concern for parents. Because that Apara secondary school we are talking about is one particular school that is notorious for such acts, because my child went there to write NECO exams. A teacher was greeting a student, senior man, because they have a gang of cultists in that school, and they always come to school with guns. That school is a dangerous school. So if the principal invited me, he has not done anything wrong, because the sort of students they have in that school are so dangerous that you can imagine when a teacher is calling a student senior man.
All right, thank you very much, Kalu. But that's
Reginald says he will blame this school, the authority, the government, the community, the school authority, the parents. Who are they? They are us. They are all us. The government is us. The community is us. They are all us. I was going to ask you, Jude, if you remember, if you've seen that video. Did you see that video where that young man was asked, so what do you want to be for life? I want to be a senior man. Yeah. His society, what he sees around him, that's what has influenced him. Someone says you train the children, give the children some training in school. By the time they go back home, it takes just a second for things to change. See, it's called reinforcement. If every day these children go into school and they are getting proper, the system is proper. See, it's going to take plenty to actually get it out of them.
True.
But unfortunately, they go, it's not proper. Then they come back to society, it's not proper. So what do you get in the end?
Okay, all right. So this conversation is definitely not going to end. In fact, there's a view that Carl just made mention that I think we're going to treat in the next hour. And that has to do with us, the adults. What exactly have we been doing to have set our young ones on this path right now? Yes, there's a problem with discipline. There's a problem with authority, both at the school level and also at the home level. When we come back from the 10 o'clock hour after the news, what have you done? What have your neighbors done? What has your church done?
What examples are we setting?
What examples are we setting? Carl, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We'll go for a break. I'll read all the messages. The engagement is really, really high, and we cannot just leave this on the back burner at the moment. When we come back, more on this conversation. If you are a parent right now, well, the focus is going to be on you, because there's a message here that finger points mothers. Is that fair? We'll find out when we return.